Hi, my name is Kunal, and welcome to the Geeks of the Valley podcast, which connects with some of the brightest minds globally who are leading their respective industries today to discuss the hottest upcoming industry trends and how their work is affecting the global economy. This morning from Tokyo, Japan, we have the former COO of FOV and Teleexistence Inc., and current strategic advisor for Airbus Ventures for Asia Pacific joining us. Please welcome Hikosaka Yuichiro. Let's jump into the first question, shall we?
Sure.
Tell me about yourself and your background and how it led you to the path of becoming a venture advisor at Airbus Ventures.
Sure. So it's a bit long story, but let me talk about what kind of kids I was first, and let me track on my history to be the venture capitalist. I grew up in Japan entire my life. But when I was kids, I was feeling like I'm quite different from other kids and friends. It's because I always think about what's the next challenge? How can I do it better? And for last 10 years, when I got started to work for the companies, I realized that, oh, I'm quite different from typical Japanese, which honestly, I didn't notice much, but I was quite different. I found that because I'm not shy, discovers, and or more traditional, which are often elements that can be associated with Japanese culture. But I'm definitely more of a global, out of the box, interdisciplinary thinker, and what I would consider to be a serious risk taker. In my undergrad, since I love the science and math, I studied pretty hard. And in my junior year, firstly, my plan was to be an engineer. However, I realized that, oh, this is not the path. I may not take it. First of all, as I mentioned, my personality was quite different from the other Japanese. So which means I was not confident enough to be compatible with the Japanese corporate culture. That was my first thing. Second thing, my friends were almost everyone taking the high-tech path, working for the big Japanese company. So 15 years back, there was not much concept of startup or being CDO or making or starting your company. So everyone was choosing the big Japanese and global company. But honestly speaking, when I was doing the internship for such a companies, I realized, oh, this is a bit different. It's a bit because their lifestyle was in the factory in the Svalbard and living near there and back and forth on your home and factories. However, my image was doing the business, making revenue, and staying in the city, active like a true businessman, was my image. So I decided not to be an engineer, and I started to scratch my head. What should I do? At that point, I discovered my academic interest in the financial engineering. And naturally, my interest target the finance sector, especially investment banking. And also I changed my major from science and technology, such a control theory, to the financial engineering in the master degrees. Another point, the reason why I was interested in investment banking is because I was a soccer player. At the one point, I was seriously thinking about to be the professional soccer ball player. And I found that there is a similarity between investment banking, especially Goldman Sachs, and life playing in the professional soccer team. So if you do well, you get rewarded. Every day is a challenge. You have to make an effort. Otherwise, you might be kicked out. So the lifestyle, running and working hard every day, really attracts me. So I thankfully could join the Goldman Sachs, spent almost 9 years there. However, even though I didn't expect, I leave the Goldman Sachs, but I was passionate about new challenge. That was a startup enabling me to act like the leader of the company. Also, being at the tech startup was again another intersection with science, which I loved. Naturally, once I was in the startup ecosystem, I was able to form relationships with investors, venture capital, and which eventually enabled me to begin working in the venture capital, which was Airbus Ventures. Airbus Ventures really attracted from Silicon Valley, global venture capital, very smart people. So I was fascinated about their fund, and I hope to get the job there.
And Hiko, as you had alluded to earlier, you had finished your master's in financial engineering and you started your career at Goldman Sachs, right in the midst of the financial crisis of 2007, 2008. Can you tell us more about the divisions you were part of and how the financial crisis set precedent for growing economies in Asia Pacific, especially when looking at first world versus second world economies?
Sure. First of all, I started to work for the fixed income division as a structurer and a marketer of credit securitization product. After 2 years, I moved to the trading desk. In fact, at the GS, the trader is a king and everyone wants it. But in fact, when I joined Goldman, I declined the offer to join the trading desk. It is simply because I was not confident enough I could perform well. There are a bunch of smart people there in their seats from, let's say, PhD on mathematics or physics, Harvard or Stanford or gold Olympic medals of the mathematics Olympic. So I was not confident enough because I was more like communication driven, human to human type of the business. I thought it's going to be more, I'm good at it. So I didn't. But in the end, after 2 years, I decided to join there. In terms of the financial crisis and the market after the Lehman crisis, I saw the great revamp of the market. It was really logical. Asset prices were sinking, however, it recovered a lot. And everyone was quite eager to be involved. However, Japan struggled again in 2011 because of the earthquakes. Also, in particular, the electronics sector continued to struggle up until 2014-ish. Let's say, for example, Olympus, Toshiba, they have the problem on window dressing accountings, which was realized. Sharp, even Sony and Hitachi, which are a great company, simply struggle a lot because of the financial crisis and also the probably slow recovery about restructuring of the company. They didn't have much of this innovation there, so they lost a bunch of market, I think simply because of the golfer, etc. Also, in general, Asian companies were less hit by the financial crisis compared to European companies, and American companies. I think China was less hit. Also, their population growth and also the economic growth helped a lot for the Asia. Another point is SEA's Southeast Asia's population growth naturally helped the growth of the Indonesia, Philippines. Also, I think that Singapore took a great lead for enhancing the quality of business in the Asia. Now I think Asia is a center of the gravity.
So, Hiko, after your stint at Goldman Sachs as a VP, you had joined startups such as Fove and Teleexistence, focused in VR, AI, and robotics in the industrial automation processes and research arena. Can you tell us more about the importance of the AI and robotics space and how it plays a bigger role in Japan?
Sure. First of all, I can say automation and AI will without a doubt produce a wealth, huge wealth. It is not just a matter of the factory automation, I believe. On top of that, originally, Japan was in the strong position for robotics. And as the industry has been growing for some time, given Japan's labor shortage issue, Japan has to adapt robotics and AI aggressively, especially for factory automation. I think I also believe for logistics as well. And this is my dream. It is time to consider how to bring the robot outside of the factories. We start to see robotics utilizations inside the shops, restaurants, convenience stores, etc., even inside of the house as well. Also, installation, in terms of installation of the robotics, background culture is quite important. So in Japan, it's quite natural to accept robots being introducing in everyday spaces. So in my opinion, Japan has the potential to really lead the robotics industry.
As a current
Yep.
venture capitalist, how do you determine a good investment? And what things do you look for in a startup founder before investing in them?
Yes, it's quite a difficult question. And I, every day I'm looking for the answers. So first of all, investment thesis, I think every founder has it. So it needs to be aligned. Second of all, what I think first time talking with a startup is if there is enough big market and the use cases of their technology are also that what company is trying to do. And next step is how do you differentiate yourselves and the company? Is really important. What is your unique element? That is always asked. Mostly we love differentiation in the tech. And also it is quite easy for us to differentiate from other startups we are looking. Or let's say you have a strong R&D background, or if you have a strong IP, that's easy to say. However, I don't just know into the tech, but also difference of the business model is fine. What is the uniqueness of the business model? What the thing other haven't found yet, but you do. That sometimes captivate my attention. Also, from different perspective, I focus on if the company has a strong management teams. Personality is quite important. I want to work with the good people. Also, the track records sometimes really important. I'm not saying absolutely necessary, but a track record is easy to let us believe it. And if you have great understanding of the market, is important. And do you have a capability of listening to what other people say is also important, which means I think ensures flexibility. And strong grit. There are a bunch of up and down in the startup. Also, we have to ride on SIP for, let's say, 5 to 10 years together. So strong grit, or do you really want to make it happen? Is one watching. Is I think characteristic of a management team. Also, I love the character of CEO who has a skill of smooth conversation and his willingness to communicate with me, because I don't like much of the asymmetry of information, what he has and what I have. Always communicate well, share their everything, being honest is important factor. Otherwise, we will not be able to create the dream together. Lastly, founder's vision is critically important. Sometimes and often catches me a lot as well. For me, this job is not just about the financial return. it's a really combination of vision, technological potential, as well as financial return. This combination is quite key.
These are some very good points that you bring up. And being, a venture capitalist, what are some interesting startup trends you are seeing in Japan and Greater Asia Pacific? And where do you see these trends going in the next 10 years?
Yes, in Japan, digital transformation is a big keyword. Could be same as other region as well. And for last 3 to 5 years, we see a bunch of software as a service model is coming out to make their DX happen for the big enterprises. It has been horizontal source is very common. However, given a lot of SaaS company appeared, I think vertical one start to appear in the market. Also, from different aspect, as I mentioned briefly in the last conversation, logistics is a big focus. COVID-19 accelerates it. Logistical quandaries in the wake of COVID-19 have created a lot of issue over the world, but this was an issue even before the COVID in Japan. Honestly speaking, it just gotten worse here in Japan with the pandemic. Also, the likewise specialties, healthcare and the medical hype we see. And space tech in Singapore is quite active. Maybe just not Singapore, in Southeast Asia. I think I can include Australia as well. Space tech has been super focused. I think it's simply because some of the political change in the global market, but this is related to space tech. And lastly, I believe for the next 10 years, digital data is going to be the center of the gravity. But I want to highlight that around it, so much technology is going to be featured. For instance, telecommunication, cybersecurity, digital infrastructure, quantum computing, and unconventional computing, etc., are going to be so much important.
Hiko, to wrap up our call with our last question, what piece of advice would you give to people out there from the journey you've had thus far in life, both as a venture capitalist, someone working in a corporation, and as an entrepreneur?
Sure, I have several things, so it could be long a bit. First of all, I think knowing yourself and not deceiving yourself is the most important thing. People tend to listen what other people say, or people tend to consider what other people think about you. But I think essentially it doesn't matter. Following your own feelings and the voices is important. Everyone is different, meaning everyone has different goals. So you are the only person truly knowing what you want, what your goal is. That's the first point. Second of all, don't hesitate to show your appetite and let's be eager to get it. So probably this is not good for Japanese is not good at doing this. They are quite modest. They think about someone else. But I think everyone can be more aggressive to make their dream come true. So this is probably related to the fact that everyone should be more honest. Also, the another tips I'm doing every day, and I'm telling myself is keep thinking. Don't stop thinking. Always think what you want, what you would like to achieve, and how you do it is my everyday's task. Next thing is, maybe this is also related to the being honest and be aggressive, but let's actually borrow the brains of other people through talking smart people or more experienced people, also reading this. Our lifetime is quite limited. We have, let's say, less than 100 years. So we don't have much of time and power and resource to run everything what we want. So let's rely on other people, listening to what other people, and get smarter is important. And then lastly, I'd say integrity to the people is most important and very important. You might be able to make a short-term success without integrity, but a long-term, definitely your integrity is going to be key so that you can get the trust from the people. That's it.
Hiko, for people who are interested in reaching out to you to maybe potentially grab a cup of coffee, what would be the best point of contact?
I would say SNS is probably the best one. Facebook, LinkedIn, I'm there, so don't hesitate to contact me. I'm not sure I'll be able to be having the all of the requests, but that's the first thing. But if you know someone who knows me, I think the reference is the best one.
Hiko, it was a pleasure having you on Geeks of the Valley, and thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, I enjoy a lot. Thanks for offering me the opportunity.